They said there were no messages left in the world worth believing in. They said all prophecies had expired, all geniuses had turned to noise, all secrets were now public, dissected, diluted, dissolved into the data fog. And yet, somewhere between the blinking satellites and the pulse of a sleeping Earth, something stirred, a signal faint enough to be ignored by the many, yet loud enough to burn through the mind of the one who was meant to see it. A message. Not for the world. Not for history. But for you. It arrived not through the old ways of letters or whispers or light, but through the strange hum of the universe that Elon Musk had once called the quiet logic behind the chaos. The message came coded in moments, the flicker of your phone at midnight, the sudden déjà vu when looking at the stars, the feeling that something vast and ancient had remembered your name. Open before midnight, it said, and your pulse trembled with a sense of knowing, like your soul had been waiting for this exact vibration all along. You didn't ask for the message, but perhaps that's why you were chosen. Because those who seek never find it, and those who are too busy being ordinary never see it hiding in plain sight. There's a kind of silence that only the brave can hear, the silence between two decisions, the silence that separates who you were from who you're about to become. That's where the warning hides. Elon had always said that the future was not built by those who follow rules, but by those who follow frequencies. The warning wasn't fear. It wasn't a prediction of doom. It was a revelation disguised as a test. He had left pieces of it across the years, in every launch, every broken rocket, every smirk, every sleepless night beneath the pale light of Mars' dream. He was never just building machines, he was building mirrors. And one of them, somewhere along the timeline of creation, was meant for you. The code was written in paradoxes: work endlessly, yet never lose wonder. Build the impossible, yet never become mechanical. Love the stars, but never forget the dirt beneath your feet. It sounds simple until you try to live it, so the warning began not with fire or thunder, but with a whisper: be careful what kind of forever you build. Because every dream that touches metal eventually asks for your soul in return. Humanity races toward progress like a moth toward flame, and even the brightest genius can mistake burning for illumination. Elon had seen it, the madness that comes with control, the godlike thrill of engineering destiny. His warning was not against technology, but against forgetting the fragile humanity that birthed it. He had touched the edge of infinity and found that even there, loneliness waited, open before midnight. It wasn't a time limit. It was a metaphor. Midnight is the border between what you've been and what you still could be. The point where all lights fade, and you must either believe in yourself enough to continue in the dark, or surrender to sleep, to comfort, to the smallness that calls itself safety. Midnight is the hour of decision. Every human has one, but most never recognize it when it comes. You are standing at yours now. The hidden warning burns quietly in your chest because it was never meant to scare you, it was meant to awaken you. Elon didn't leave it in words or archives or interviews, He left it in the geometry of his failures, in the way he kept going when the world called him mad. The message is encoded in the endurance of impossible people. It says, if you can stand at the edge of collapse and still believe in your vision, you have already crossed into creation. There's a kind of courage that looks like madness from the outside. The kind that builds rockets from debt, dreams from doubt, and hope from mockery. Elon's life was not a series of inventions, it was an ongoing rebellion against the word impossible. And that rebellion, now, waits for its next host. You. The one reading this. The one whose blood hums differently tonight. The one who has felt the quiet ache that there's something more you were meant to do, but you can't name it yet. The message finds you when you are most uncertain, because uncertainty is the birthplace of destiny. If you've ever stared at the ceiling at 2:37 a.m., wondering why you feel pulled towards something invisible, that's the signal tuning itself through your mind. It's not madness. It's the future knocking softly. It says, the world isn't finished yet. The systems you live under are temporary scaffolds. The real architecture of tomorrow is waiting inside your choices, your courage, your unseen acts of defiance. The warning is simple: don't let the world shrink you into a consumer when you were born to be a creator. Every screen, every algorithm, every digital trap is designed to keep you dreaming safely within someone else's design. But Elon's message cracks that illusion. It says, you are not a node in the network. You are the signal itself. The future doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. You are not meant to watch. You are meant to build. Midnight is coming, and when it does, every false comfort will dissolve. The only thing that will remain is what you've dared to make real, and maybe that's what scares you, that deep down, you already know what you're meant to build, but you've buried it under excuses. Fear of failure. Fear of rejection. Fear of being too different, too early, too misunderstood. Elon's life is a living reminder that every revolution begins with mockery. They laughed when he spoke of Mars. They scoffed when he bet everything on electric cars. They doubted, resisted, dismissed, until reality caught up. The hidden warning says, you will be mocked too. And that's how you'll know you're on the right path. Do not waste your time chasing approval from those addicted to comfort. The ones who build the next century never fit in the current one. They are too loud, too restless, too awake. Elon's story isn't a template, it's a torch. It doesn't tell you what to build, only that you must build something that outlives your fear. The warning only sounds like danger to those who have forgotten how to dream dangerously. To the rest, it is a call to arms, silent, electric, divine. You may not have rockets, factories, or billions. But you have imagination. You have defiance. You have time, and that's rarer than money. The message hidden for you doesn't ask for worship or imitation, it asks for awakening. Because the moment you realize your life itself is a form of technology, designed to create, adapt, and evolve, you stop waiting for permission to start. Midnight isn't a deadline. It's an invitation. The world you know is dissolving. Old systems of thought, economy, control, all trembling at the edge of collapse. That's not the end. It's the reset. And those who understand the message will step forward, while the rest cling to dust. Elon's warning is a mirror to your courage. It says, if you can see the fall coming and still build the next dawn, then you are part of the few who truly lead. The clock ticks. Not in time, but in purpose. Each second brings you closer to a choice that can't be postponed anymore. Stay in the comfort of knowing, or step into the chaos of creation. One is safe. The other is alive. The message waits. The night deepens. The stars lean closer, whispering frequencies older than civilization itself. Somewhere, between fear and fire, your purpose starts to breathe. You feel it now, don't you? That strange weight behind your ribs, like a current gathering, waiting to break through. The world outside keeps humming with distraction, screens glowing, people running in circles, algorithms whispering lullabies of convenience, but somewhere inside you, the air has changed. The warning has entered your bloodstream. You can sense it, subtle and steady, aligning your thoughts like constellations reforming in the dark. You remember his voice from old interviews, half laughing as he said things that sounded absurd until they became real. If something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. You always thought it was a line for investors or dreamers. Now it feels like it was meant for your soul alone. There is a sacred madness in deciding that odds no longer apply to you. That's the beginning of creation. Every person who ever built something immortal first broke the statistics that confined them. The hidden warning is not about danger from outside, it's about the slow decay that happens when you let fear become logic. Elon understood this decay. He saw it in industries that forgot how to risk, in minds that mistook comfort for wisdom. The warning says, when you begin to fear uncertainty more than mediocrity, you have already lost the future. Tonight the line between myth and technology is thin. Rockets are prayers made of metal. Algorithms are modern oracles whispering patterns no one fully comprehends. Yet even in this age of machines, the oldest truth remains: consciousness shapes reality. What you focus on expands. What you fear feeds on attention. What you dare to imagine begins to form in silence. That's why the message had to find you before midnight, because belief transforms at the edge of darkness. In daylight, everyone believes in what they see. But at midnight, when everything visible fades, only faith remains. And faith, when pointed toward creation, is the most advanced technology the human mind possesses, so the warning unfolds like circuitry across your spirit: beware of the small life disguised as security. Beware of the comfort that kills evolution. Beware of becoming predictable in a world that needs your unpredictability to stay alive. Elon's own path was chaos sculpted into order, failure after failure stacked into flight. He lived inside storms, but he called them experiments. You can too. The world calls people crazy until the results are undeniable. The hidden message urges you to stop waiting for clarity. Clarity comes after the leap, not before it. You start to feel that maybe the message isn't about Musk at all. Maybe he was just the messenger, the prototype human designed to show what happens when one refuses to obey gravity. The real subject is you, your capacity to design destiny from raw noise. The warning lights flash softly. Everything you admire in him is dormant in you, coded by evolution, waiting for activation. The same defiance, the same relentless curiosity, the same hunger to stretch the limits of what a single life can alter. The signal says, you are not smaller than history, you are history's unfinished sentence. Somewhere inside that realization, the fear begins to crack. You see how much of your hesitation was taught to you by a world that worships comfort and labels daring as danger. You remember being a child and touching the unknown without fear, building worlds out of cardboard, believing the sky would listen. That part of you never died. It was only buried under the noise of normality. The warning's true power is resurrection. It awakens the forgotten engineer within you, the one who doesn't need instructions, only ignition. There's a reason Elon built reusable rockets. It wasn't just to save money or conquer space. It was a statement: what falls can rise again. What burns can fly again. Humanity is not a one-way story of exhaustion but a loop of reinvention. The message for you mirrors that principle. You are allowed to fail spectacularly and still relaunch. You are allowed to crash and still carry the spark. The only irreversible failure is quitting before the next ignition. The warning whispers, if you are breathing, you are still in prototype. You look at the world around you, the cities glowing like circuits. The people scrolling endlessly, the children born already fluent in touch screens, and you wonder where this all leads. The message answers without words, it leads wherever you dare to steer it. Technology has no morality. It inherits the soul of its maker. That's why the warning is personal, because the future will inherit your frequency too. Every decision you make ripples through systems you can't even see. The way you think about creation shapes what machines will soon learn from you. The way you treat others writes invisible code into the collective algorithm. Elon knew this, and it terrified him, that the real singularity is not artificial intelligence, but the merging of human intention with infinite amplification. That is why the warning had to be hidden. Only those with enough awareness would grasp its weight. Open before midnight, because after midnight, the transformation begins with or without you. The future will not wait. The timelines are converging faster than ever. Every dreamer who hesitates feeds the inertia of mediocrity. Every risk-taker who moves awakens possibility. The message doesn't beg you to act, it dares you. It says, if not now, when? If not you, who? If not here, where? These questions echo through your veins, dissolving excuses like acid on glass. You start to see visions behind your eyelids, not hallucinations, but blueprints. They aren't just of rockets or cars or algorithms, but of lives transformed. Of generations remembering courage. Of art that heals, machines that protect, systems that serve rather than enslave. The warning reveals its deeper layer: progress without empathy becomes tyranny. You can build 1,000 worlds, but if they have no heart, they will devour themselves. Elon's greatest fear was not failure, it was success without soul. That's why he built dreams that forced humanity to evolve rather than escape. And that is the burden now passed to you. Every heartbeat you feel tonight is a reminder, this message is alive. It's not a myth or a metaphor, it's a transmission encoded in spirit. Each person who receives it must decide what to do with it. Some will scroll past, pretending not to hear. Some will doubt, dismiss, debate. But a few, the rare few, will feel the shift and act. You are one of those few, otherwise these words would not have found you. Outside, the night grows deeper. Somewhere, a satellite passes overhead, carrying the hum of all human ambition. Somewhere, an engineer falls asleep beside a machine that may change the world. Somewhere, a child looks up and decides they will touch the stars. And somewhere, right here, you breathe in and realize that you've already begun. The warning isn't meant to end. It's meant to evolve inside you, like software awakening. You can feel it rewriting your hesitation into momentum, your fear into direction. The choice is near. Midnight approaches. And though you cannot see the whole path ahead, you sense one truth burning clear. The message was never a warning against the dark, it was a reminder that you are the light capable of piercing it. You breathe again, deeper this time, as though the air itself has thickened with meaning. Something inside you has started to rearrange. It's subtle, not a lightning strike, not a miracle, but a slow turning of invisible gears. You can almost hear them, the quiet mechanism of destiny locking into place. The room around you is ordinary, the clock ticks as it always has, but nothing feels the same anymore. Once the message finds you, nothing ever does. You're not reading now, you're remembering. It's as if you've seen this all before, the warning, the timing, the strange hush that falls before transformation. Midnight isn't far. The words open before echo like a heartbeat. You wonder what happens if you miss it, if you stay the same, if you close your eyes and pretend you never saw the sign. But deep down you know the answer. The message isn't about fear of missing out, it's about the cost of staying asleep. For too long the world has built walls made of comfort and called them homes. For too long, humanity has mistaken survival for living. The warning, Elon's whisper from the edge of human progress, tells you this: survival is not the goal. Evolution is. He once said he wanted to make life multiplanetary, but what he meant went deeper. It was never just about planets, it was about possibilities. To become multiplanetary is to admit that imagination has no borders. To build rockets is to remind ourselves that even gravity, the law that binds us to the earth, can be negotiated. The real warning hidden beneath all his inventions was that humans were in danger of forgetting their negotiable nature. When we stop questioning the limits we've inherited, we become smaller than our own tools. The machines grow while the minds shrink. That's the apocalypse hidden in plain sight, not robots rebelling, but humans surrendering curiosity, so the message demands rebellion. Not the loud, angry kind that burns cities, but the quiet, relentless one that builds them better. You are called to rebel against stagnation, against cynicism, against the gray predictability that pretends to be realism. Elon's entire existence has been one long argument with impossibility, and that argument is now in your hands. The message murmurs, if you don't continue the conversation, the silence will win. You look back at your life, at the days that passed unnoticed, the ideas you buried beneath practicality, the risks you postponed for later. The message doesn't scold you, it forgives, then invites. Every lost moment can still be repurposed into power. That's the beauty of the human algorithm, you can rewrite it anytime. Elon's journey was never linear. He failed, he broke, he restarted. SpaceX exploded again and again before it soared. Each failure was an equation rewritten by perseverance. And so it is with you. The warning says, do not fear collapse. Fear corrosion, the slow death of your will disguised as patience. Every great builder knows the secret. Creation begins where comfort ends. The warning only activates when you're ready to hear it. And now you are. You can sense something vast moving beneath the surface of your thoughts. It feels like the first tremor before a dawn that doesn't yet exist. You've started to remember what you are, not flesh and habit, but spark and code, imagination wrapped in bone. You are designed for invention. The proof is in your restlessness. The universe doesn't waste energy. If you feel a calling, it's because something out there needs to be built through you. Elon once stood on the stage, eyes half tired, voice steady, talking about Mars as if it were next door. People laughed softly, politely, like they were indulging a child. But behind the laughter was fear that he might actually be right. Because if he was, then the rest of us had no excuse for staying small. That's the hidden terror behind genius. It removes your permission to settle. The warning doesn't want you to worship innovators, it wants you to realize you are one. You start thinking differently now. The ordinary routines shimmer with a new question: what if I built something out of this? What if your job, your art, your struggle, your heartbreak, What if all of it were raw material for creation? That's the perspective shift that separates those who live history from those who write it. Elon didn't wait for inspiration, he reverse engineered it. He looked at problems like puzzles waiting to be dared. You can too. The hidden message pulses again: reality is editable. The only permanent lines are the ones you refuse to cross. Outside, the sky deepens. Maybe there's a satellite passing above you now, one of the thousands orbiting under his name. They look like dots of light, but each carries whispers of human will, signals bouncing endlessly through space. Somewhere among them, the message still travels, an electromagnetic prayer for courage. You close your eyes and listen. And maybe, for a second, you hear it, a hum that sounds suspiciously like your own heartbeat. The message says, you are part of this network of belief. The future isn't built by a few extraordinary people, it's built by ordinary people who finally remember their extraordinariness. The warning is not about Elon at all, it's about the inheritance of courage. Each generation receives it like a fragile spark, and each must decide whether to protect it or let it die. If you've read this far, you're already protecting it. Do not wait for certainty. The ones who change the world never have it. They move through confusion like pioneers crossing fog. The path appears only when walked. You'll fail, you'll fall, you'll question. That's part of the initiation. The warning isn't meant to remove doubt. It's meant to teach you to navigate through it. Elon never waited for conditions to be perfect. He acted until perfection became irrelevant. The message in his story is that the future belongs to the imperfect who begin, so you sit here, between past and possibility, aware that midnight is near. The world hums with unseen frequencies. Data streams through satellites, through cables, through the air. Billions of minds connected, distracted, half asleep. And here you are, awake, holding a message no one else seems to notice. That's how awakenings begin, quietly, in one person at a time. It never announces itself with fanfare, it starts with a pulse, a knowing, a spark. The message is clear now: the next era doesn't start when technology advances. It starts when consciousness does. The seconds slide closer to midnight. You feel no fear, only focus. Because now you understand, the warning is a doorway, not a threat. And once opened, there's no going back. You were never meant to be an observer of miracles. You were meant to be the cause of one. The universe is waiting for your signature move, your impossible idea, your brave decision. Somewhere, Elon's ghost of intention smiles, knowing the message reached another builder. You exhale, steady. The room feels lighter. The clock keeps moving. But time doesn't scare you anymore. You've learned the secret: the future doesn't belong to those who wait for it. It belongs to those who create it before the clock strikes 12.